And we're back for week 2 in the fall 2017 season of Anime FMK. I'm your host, Ben. I got my lovely co-hosts, Scott and Kieran. We're going to talk about some fucking anime.
Oh, fucking anime.
And we're going to talk about some killing anime. And at the end of the season, we might just marry some anime.
I hope.
Which one can only hope.
I need something to fill this anime-shaped void in my heart.
Well, let's see how well Garo the Vanishing line filled our anime-shaped void. So I got some episode synopses for us here so we can kind of know what we're talking about. This week we watched episodes 4 and 5, which does bring us up to current. We should be current on all these shows. Garo the Vanishing Line, Episode 4, Sophie sneaks out of her orphanarium to investigate horrors in hopes of meeting back up with Sword and asking for his help searching for her missing brother. They encounter Marie, a sickly young woman who became a horror due to her abuse at the hands of her brother, the priest Father Ripley. And then in Episode 5, Sword, Gina, and Sophie pose as husband, wife, and daughter to infiltrate an upper-class school rumored to house a horror. Spoiler warning, it does, and they kill it.
I love in this series, is there a horror? There's a horror.
Yes.
Yeah. Every episode, it's very monster of the week. Kieran, how did you feel about today's monster of the week?
Well, the two monsters, I liked I felt the father dude. I liked kind of like that angle. That was neat. I really actually liked the one with the cats, like putting the cats everywhere. I think that was really cool.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's pretty good. For a Monster of the Week show, it's just like I like Sword, I like their antics. Sophie's relatable enough for me to go along with. Okay, you want to like figure out stuff with your brother. I'm cool with following you along. Sword kills people, cool. I'm down.
I am a Sword fan. By and large, Sword is a great musclehead character. I actually want to see more of him. It's sort of interesting because the series as an action show is serviceable for me. I do like its pulp. Like the pulp angle that it's taking, that each episode is a different story, different horror. I'm still waiting for there to be a little more focus on him in the armor. Maybe there will be an overarching big bad. I don't know how long this particular season is going to go. Maybe it'll be 13 episodes. Maybe it'll be 26. But we'll see. These were a couple of really good episodes. Although I will admit, the one with the maiden, I saw that coming from a mile away. I mean, there's predictable, and then there's like, I know exactly what's happening.
Yeah, that would be. I believe you're talking about episode 4. The twist is you think Father Ripley might be the horror. Turns out that no, it's his sister, this sickly girl.
Although he was a horrible person.
Oh yeah, still a terrible man. Yeah, I enjoyed these all right. I gotta say, it's starting to... So they're dropping all these cryptic hints about El Dorado. What's El Dorado? I don't give a shit what El Dorado is.
Yeah.
They keep dropping these hints, and no, you're doing a bad. And it's very Monster of the Week, and that will only take you so far. So it's getting to the point where you need to either deliver on this arc plot that you're trying to do, or shut the fuck up about it.
Yeah. I would be very... Like, it's kind of a misstep, in my opinion. If this is going to last 12, 13 episodes, and they're going to get to the actual plot at episode 6, I don't know. I was kind of hoping they would do it earlier.
Yeah.
Yep. So that sounds like, and we'll talk, as always, in more detail about the specific plot points of these episodes when we get into our unsnipped segment. Just talk all we want. But for right now, Kieran, you going to fuck or kill Garo?
So for right now, out of everything I have to view for this show, taking this into consideration.
Yep, gamify.
Yeah, gamifying it right now. I want to fuck Garo. I like Sword. I like him not being able to fully button up his shirt. I appreciate all of
that was great. I love that.
There's enough goofy stuff for me to enjoy this, and I can, it's one I can kind of like half-heartedly watch and still get something fun out of. I'll fuck it. I'll see where this goes. I don't give a shit about El Dorado. I'm just cool with how it is as it is, so let's see.
It's totally fuckable for me. I mean, ultimately, I have some problems with it, but I 100% believe that it could, it's a little bit of a turn down right now. I fully see the ability for this to get way better. And it's already done some stuff that I really love, so it's totally still fuckable.
I'm going to fuck this show too. But I gotta say, this is a reserved fuck. This is an unenthusiastic fuck. This is a fuck of convenience. And as the weeks go on, and as this field gets narrowed down tighter and tighter, this might be the one that I'm still consistently fucking, but that I'm most worried about whether it will continue to hang when there's no longer stuff that I just fucking want dead.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, I think the ending result is there are shit that I am fine watching this. There's others, need them gone.
Yeah. Well, let's see if our next one is something that we need gone. Just because this is something we had very differing opinions on last time.
Yeah.
Let's see if the process of writing these episode synopses forced me to pay closer attention. So in episode 4, Sports Boy, a young man who communicates only by shouting, attempts to overcome his fear of dogs to court Girl with Brothers, but she ultimately rejects him. He is helped by his friend Little Red Tsundere Girl, who obviously wants to fuck him. Later, Sulk Boy has an argument with Little Red Tsundere Girl over absolutely nothing, and Photo Girl continues to be apparently the only person who cares that the photography club may be disbanded. And then moving on to episode 5, Sulk Boy and Sports Boy are both sulky. Sports Boy is bummed because Girl with Brothers rejected him, and also because he is going to a dead-end factory job after graduation instead of to college. He is cheered up when he is invited to a pickup baseball game with his future coworkers, and they turn out to be real nice guys. Little red-haired Tsundere Girl apologizes to Sulk Boy. And I would like it stated that I offered to let Scott, as the person who actually likes this show, write these synopses and, get the character names right. But I think we all know who I'm talking about with these nicknames,
Yes,
I
hopefully.
understand what you're talking about.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
No, by and large, 100%. I don't remember any character's name except for Mio.
Remember Mio? Isn't there an Emmy somewhere?
Yeah, Mio,
No, Emmy's another show.
Mio
Okay,
is
I'm
Little
gonna-
Red Tsundere Girl,
Yeah,
I believe.
Mio is little, and I think it's Hatoru is Sports Boy.
Yeah.
And that's the best I could tell you.
Yeah.
Haruto? I don't remember.
Haruto, is it?
I think it might be Haruto.
Communicates only through shouting.
Yeah, so his quirk, I guess, is that when he is talking to his crush, who is just the blandest goddamn character, she has brothers. That's the only thing I know about her.
Well,
Was that Trumpet Girl?
yeah, Band Girl. I know where.
I remember her as Trumpet Girl. Okay.
Yeah, I know where is Band Girl. But
Yeah.
here, let's.
Yeah, let's start off. Kieran, how you
Sure.
feeling about Sports Boy and Band Girl?
Here's the thing. I had this revelation as I was watching this. So I'm not very familiar with the slice of life genre. I get it. I understand what this is trying to do, and I get why this is appealing. I really do. And near episode 5, I was like, okay, I get what you're doing. You're trying to just depict this is everyone can relate to this. It is the most relatable. It is also the most bland. Like, just to make it so relatable, everyone has to be just, my quirk is just dialed to 2. Nobody's dialed to 10. Like, everybody's just a bit of distinctive traits to each person. That said, it's really hard to keep the characters memorized, but as something on in the background, just there, it's pleasant. And the thing that I love that is still here, this soundtrack kicks ass. This soundtrack is so good. I love the main theme that they have always playing. I couldn't hum it back to you, but every time it's on, I fucking love it. And I really, really dig how the atmosphere is conveyed with music and the use of silence throughout the show. That when people are talking, it's clear that there's something going on, but they do not say it. I very much appreciate that. There's a lot of very tiny amount of exposition here. I have no idea what's going on, but that might be in its favor. I actually kind of came around to it. I liked what I saw this week.
This is amazing because the first 3 episodes I was actually a huge fan of because interestingly, while Band Girl was not very interesting, the things surrounding Band Girl, her motives, her brothers, Sports Boy being interested in her, were all things I could identify with. Like, he becomes friends with her brothers, not necessarily to get closer to her, but you can see how that endears him to her. But this week, okay, so when you were talking about I remember you said something like nothing happens. I'm like, oh my God, episode 4 felt like nothing happened. Like, in a very bad way. I was actually really frustrated with that episode, especially with that argument over nothing at the end. Like, they keep talking about this thing that happened between the new kid or the transfer student and Mio. And I'm like, I don't know, so I can't care. And their entire argument was like really awkward, and you don't know why it's happening, and you can tell that he's got a thing for her. That's the whole problem, is that he has a thing for her, and everyone's making excuses. Everyone keeps making excuses for not wanting to do the things that they want to do, and I think that's why it's called Just Because. Everyone keeps making excuses for not doing the things that they want to do for a living. Like, band girl, oh, I've got all these excuses for reasons I don't want to be in band. As sports boy, well, I have all the excuses for not doing the things that I want to do, like sports. And meanwhile, the only girl, like as you said, who is not giving excuses, that is
Photo girl.
Photo girl. But I think she's got the opposite problem. No one else cares about the things she cares about. And
Is she literally the only person in this photo club? Well, we can...
No, they are the other two boys. But by the time I got around to the end of episode 5, this love triangle stuff, I don't care. And at first, I was kind of curious. I was kind of interested. I was like, oh, hey, they've got some real dynamics going on here. But they're not spending enough time with each individual character to really make them feel like people. So I'm getting frustrated.
So, Scott, hold up a card and show us exactly how frustrated you're feeling today.
Oh.
Let's do it.
Okay.
We've been getting into it. Let's start us off, Scott. I've got mine queued up.
It's got one more week. I'll fuck it this week, but if it does not pick up next week, I can't do it.
Guys, I didn't like this show last week. I don't like this show this week. I probably like it more this week. I think that might be partially because writing even these slapdash-ass synopses forced me to pay more attention and try to figure out who is who. I still want to kill this show real bad. I think part of it might be a cultural thing, might be a Japanese thing, where people talk around certain issues instead of just saying what they're talking about.
It is.
Yeah.
And I think that makes it harder for me as an American audience to follow it. But we got one fuck, one kill. Kieran, break the tie.
I'm going to fuck it. Because... I don't know if it's Stockholm Syndrome. I don't know I was just organizing my Pokemon cards watching this show, and it was nice to have there. It was like, okay, I get the appeal of this. I enjoy their high school antics. I don't need to know what's happening because it just drops me in, and I think that's just the conventions of this genre. I guess I'll just keep seeing where this goes. Out of other things on this list, I'll watch this.
Guys... Juuni Taisen! Zodiac War, another one of our contentious ones last time. This week we had episode 4, flashbacks show monkeys training with 3 literal talking Tibetan monkeys. And some of her work as a peacemaking diplomat and negotiator. She also had a boyfriend who seems nice. Rat believes peace makes people weak, garbage who don't deserve protection, but shows no sign of betraying his alliance with the pacifist monkey. The two are attacked by Rabbit and the undead snake. Cliffhanger! Which we will resolve right now because we watched 2 episodes this week. Episode 5, we open on a Council of Men's bathroom signs. Top Hat Man reveals that the Juuni Taisen is a proxy war in which this shadowy council will change the balance of world power by placing bets on the Zodiac Warriors. The Sheep Warrior flashes back to his youth as an arms dealer and contemplates using trickery to broker an alliance with the mid-ranked warriors. The duels between Monkey and Rabbit and Rat and Undead Snake continue. Meanwhile, Horse flees injured from his duel with Ox. Kieran, you came out strongly against this last week. Did anything that happened this week change your mind?
Episode 4 is the only thing I really enjoyed that changed it here, because episode 5, as you mentioned, it really is just Sheep, and he is ass boring. Like, God, he is, I don't care. And it's just him talking in a room. Like, there's at least 8 minutes of Sheep talking in a room, and I don't give a fuck about this dude. Like, I like that the big revelation is like, I'm doing it for, so my grandson doesn't have to do it. Awesome. I really like that character motivation. Can you do anything else in there other than talking? Can we see anything else? The girls are fighting the rabbit dude. We just keep going back and forth, back and forth. Really boring 5th episode. 4th episode, awesome. Monkey Girl is the only cool part of this show to me. I love seeing how she resolves things in a different way, because I don't care how cool somebody's killing someone, they're still the same thing. I don't fucking care. It's boring. I like seeing how she's going to try and politicize her way out of it. I like the flashback of her with the countries. That was really cool. So ultimately, 5 is what I hated. 4 is what I want to see more of.
And Scott, you came out swinging in favor of this show last week. How are you feeling about it this week?
I have to agree with him. Episode 4 is definitely the better of the two episodes. And you're feeling this, and this happens with every show, and it's happening with a lot of the shows on this list, of the mid-season budgetary constraint going on. Happens with all anime, especially these 13 episodes. Like, the first couple will be really good looking, and these are slower and a little less animated. And that really hurt episode 5 especially. Like, not only there wasn't a lot of action, and the action that was there was not nearly on the level of the first couple episodes. Secondarily, I'm sorry, Sheep's got a really cool motive, and I love that we got a little bit of history about him, but that was way too much talking. Meanwhile, Monkey is the most interesting character in the entire thing, and I'm really curious about what they're going to do with the rat. I mean, I'm really curious.
Everyone has that. I think I've seen him from somewhere. I'm actually really intrigued on what that is.
Yeah. Also, we got an explanation of why this is all happening.
Yeah.
That was actually kind of cool. I'm like, thank you. You didn't make us wait till the end.
They also made it evident that this is not Earth. Or at least this is some alternate history.
Oh, yeah.
These are not our continents that we know, and I appreciated that because it wasn't clear.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it was really interesting, and I'm glad that we're getting some more development, but I'm ready to get past this mid-season slump and back into the action.
Wow, so this is one of the few shows that I'm actually finding myself, and there are others, which we will get to, but this is one of the few shows that I'm actually finding myself liking more with each episode. I think it does a great job of what Garo is failing at, which is dribbling out just enough of information about the overarching story to keep you hooked, while still each individual episode is its own beast, has its own focus, has its own point of interest. I would tend to agree that episode 4 was stronger than 5, but I still like 5 just fine. So guys, for a second week in a row, I'm going to fuck this show. I'm enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to continuing to enjoy it. Kieran, what's your verdict?
I am also gonna fuck it. Switching my tune here for 2 shows. Like I said, I think the 4th episode is cool. They got, and as Scott mentioned, I want to see what happens with the rat. That is one hook that has me enough interested. If they happen to drop it by episode 8 or something and I hate it, then I'm out. But I'm curious. I want to fuck it. See where it goes.
Okay. And I was a little disappointed with episode 5, but even though that disappointment still pales in comparison, I still think this is one of the best shows. But personally, think this is one of the best shows this season, and I'm looking forward to see where it goes.
Cool. Well, that's our second trifecta for the week. Hey.
Ooh,
yeah.
Nice.
All right. Well, let's see if we can keep the trifecta going by remembering. Oh, Inuyashiki.
Is that next?
Inuyashiki is next, and guys. So this one, we have only one episode to talk about. Only episode 4 was available at the time of recording. And guys, in episode 4 of Inuyashiki, we are introduced to Japanese Gregor Clegane, and what a very bad man TM he is. He kidnaps a young woman from her loving fiancé, strips her naked, and injects her with drugs. There's also a lot of stuff about promising to rape her a lot. He's not a good person. She manages to fight him off and escape, but the Yakuza follow her home and choke her fiancé nearly to death. Inuyashiki appears and fights them, but is rendered unconscious by multiple gunshots to the head, and the girl is recaptured. Inuyashiki tracks the Yakuza back to their headquarters and systematically blinds them all before returning the girl safely to her fiancé. And guys, this is probably a good time after I just spoiled this episode. So we're going episode by episode now. Spoiler warning, guess what? We're going to be talking about the plots of each episode, including the fact that in this episode, I was certain the whole time, these guys are doomed. Mm-hmm. They love each other way too much. They are way too happy. This is not going to end well for them. And at the end of the episode, everybody lives. Nobody gets raped. Look, man, I see you making that face. They do not establish that anybody gets raped, so therefore I'm going to choose to believe that nobody got raped before the end of the episode.
I want to think that too.
And I was not expecting that. This could have been I don't know, he probably had a name. This 7-foot-tall Yakuza gangster guy could have been a cartoonishly evil, roll your eyes, oh, look what a bad dude this guy is. It could have been so cartoonish that I didn't care. But I care because Inuyashiki cares. Mm-hmm. And my identification with that character, that moral center that we talked about last week, made me invested in a way that I might not have been otherwise. Kieran, what did you think?
I I adore this show. I mean, it has made me cry multiple times. There is something profoundly human about this writing and this depiction of Inuyashiki. He is in this episode established as this messianic character. Like he is almost like this. Scott brought this up when we were talking. I'll let him elaborate a bit more on it. Well, like this Christ figure that is not only here to help and to bring peace, but is wrathful on those that he deems to be the sinners. And we saw, like in the first episode, it's like, oh yeah, he doxes the kids, no one's harmed, it's fine. No, like this is like he doesn't kill them. He still has yet to, I think, kill someone.
Yeah.
But this is like he leaves them blind and paralyzed, so they are just damned to their living lives, knowing what they've done and just thinking over and over. The only thing they're ever going to see again is what they've done, and that is like. In one hand, I was like, this is kind of terrifying knowing that he can do this. But when we get that happy ending for these two, and I'm like, I'm really conflicted about this, but goddamn, I love Inuyashiki so much.
I was not expecting the opening scene.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Like as I'm sitting there, and he just walks in, he's like, the episode opens up with a Yakuza dude making another Yakuza dude give him a blowjob.
Yeah.
And that's how the episode starts, and it gets worse from there.
Yep.
This is a fascinating show because it is so desperately like riding that line of just being heartbreakingly nihilistic and yet overwhelmingly like hopeful. And it's crazy, and I know it's only going to get worse from here. Inuyashiki is one of my favorite characters this season. Maybe one like he's quickly climbing my list of favorite protagonists from anime. Man, like the fact that he is karma incarnate for these guys, and that whole scene is just.
Yeah.
It's awesome in the sense of like awe. I was just like, oh my god! Like when they just do the hard cut and then lasers everywhere. I was like, holy shit!
And for a moment there, I thought they were gonna do what they did in the first episode. No.
Yeah.
Yep. So this might be a formality at this point, but Kieran, you want to fuck this show? Scott, you fucking this show? I'm fucking this show. We're gonna gush all the more about this beautiful old Jesus man later on, but for now we've got a strong trifecta.
Absolutely.
Could drown a toddler in my panties. I mean, not that you would.
Drown a Yakuza member.
Yep. Speaking of drowning toddlers, next up on the list is King's Game. Guys, in episode 4 of King's Game, Protag-kun reveals that the first King's Game was played 30 years ago in a small village. He, Brawny Boy, and interchangeable anime chick 3 board a train to go there and investigate. In flashbacks, Nami, one of Protag-kun's former classmates, orders herself to touch the king in order to try to figure out who the king is. She fails and is punished with blindness. Second blindness this week as a punishment. Protag-kun is ordered to lose something important to him. Nami kills herself to fulfill the order and save Protag-kun. And then in episode 5, in a flashback to the previous King's Game, Tall, Dark, and Boring, who I shall call T-Dab, T-D-A-B, uses his magic computer to find some data on a village where the first King's Game happened 30 years ago. Answering my question from the previous episode, where did this knowledge come from? The answer, the internet, I guess. Meanwhile, the king orders everyone not to do anything unnecessary, and Protag-kun learns through trial and error that this means no blocking the king's number, canceling cell service, or crying. Lots of people die, including T-Dab. T-Dab's girlfriend, Karaoke, concludes that Protag-kun is the king and kidnaps him, but then cries and dies. Whose turn is it to start? I think, Scott, start us off.
I think it's your turn to start.
Oh, man, do I have to?
You... Soonest begun, soonest done.
Okay, look, I cannot stress how not okay I am with the show anymore. Like, at first, there were some entertaining points of it. Like, there was a lot of opportunity here for some neat deaths, some neat characters, some neat ideas. But consistently, they are poorly handled. They have all of these neat concepts of different ways they could die, different ways they could, in like ingenious ways, they might be able to overcome them. And then it's either just boring deaths, which I'm sorry, a boring death in a show that's all about death is the worst possible like way you could handle it. And just inconsistent character development. I don't know where to start.
Yeah,
Like,
I think a lot of my opinions kind of came out in the summary. But yeah, inconsistent characterization, plot details that are not established in any satisfying way. This is real rough, you guys. I want to get nitty and gritty and pick apart all of those nitpicks because my dark heart gets joy out of that. That'll be in the unsnipped segment. But in the meantime, Kieran, any thoughts you want to add?
I actually appreciated the mention that there was a King's Game 30 years ago. I'm always a fan of the urban legend story. I just think the Japanese horror does that really well. But as Scott mentioned, the horror aspect of it sucks. There is like when you have like Jigsaw, like the Saw movies are only cool when the games are cool, and guess what? The game sucks here. Like, it's just whatever. Oh, unnecessary. That means crying. Through no deduction can you get that other than people dying in uncool ways, so it just really amounts to nothing.
how many characters have to hang themselves?
Yeah, and I wish they could, like, do something just at its core. I think there's a lot shitty with this show.
Or how many times do we have to see, like, this character died this way, and you see the aftermath, and it's like, oh, okay.
Okay, sure, I guess I was supposed to care. Oh, no,
Scott, hold up a card so we can move on to something else.
Yeah, okay. Kill it. Get it away from me. I'm done. I'm bored. I have nothing better to say about the show.
Seconded. Kill it dead. Don't like it.
Can we please get this out of the watch
We
list?
got a tri-kill!
Yes! Okay, good. I'm glad we all agree.
Triple kill.
Marking down that tri-kill. First tri-kill of the week. So unless something else gets the fabled tri-kill, this is the front runner to get cut this week.
I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
And I gave it an opportunity last time.
Oh,
I
yeah,
was
you
like,
did. I was
So
like,
it got a 2-fuck last time.
Yeah.
You and me, I'm pretty sure.
well, because we had hopes, and those hopes were dashed.
But speaking of something that gives high hopes for at least one of us, and maybe more this week.
oh, fun.
Kino's Journey. In episode 4 of Kino's Journey, and okay, I screwed up last week. I just like to throw that out there.
Oh, yeah, you did.
I watched episode 4 thinking it was episode 3. So in the unsnipped segment, when you were talking about the tourism stuff, and I'm like, I don't know where the fuck you got that. Yeah, that one's on me because I watched the wrong episode.
But so you got it now, though?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
yeah, it's
Okay,
all right
good.
there.
All
Okay,
right,
all right.
absolutely. Just making sure that I'm not from another planet.
Yes, no, you're fine.
Okay.
I just fucked up the record keeping. But in the actual episode 4, Prince Valium from the Colosseum episode boards a giant ship that is also a country. The rulers offer to grant him a luxurious passage in exchange for his service as a policeman, keeping order among the lower classes, but he chooses instead to work as a manual laborer among those lower classes. Prince Valium decides to revolt against the ruling classes and meets up with Kino, who accepted the offer to join the ruling class as a ruse to infiltrate and also overthrow them. Some stuff blows up, and it turns out the ruling class are robots or some shit. I don't know, it's vague and poorly explained. Despite the ship country's failing infrastructure, the common people elect to stay aboard rather than flee to land. And then in episode 5, in the country of Zozo, Kino tours the memorial home of George Washingbeard, the hero who overthrew the country's royal family. Kino and Hermes meet Washingbeard's bike, who says it is in hell as a museum piece and wants to be ridden. Kino then meets No-Brows, a hero of the revolution who went crazy after he killed the royal family, including the princess who he had met disguised as a commoner and fallen in love with. Only it turns out the princess didn't die, but snuck her family to safety and returned to live with No-Brows as his housekeeper and caretaker. And then it turns out that No-Brows knows all this and is lying to everyone too. Kino leaves and everyone forgets about Washingbeard's bike, who is still in hell forever. So again, some of my opinions came out in the summary there. Episode 4, I did not care for. It didn't have much of a theme. It was just like some of the concepts were cool, like country on a ship. Cool, yeah, I'll go with that. Little repetitive after last week's country on treads on land, but oh well, whatever. But then, yeah, the rulers are robots, and like the most interesting thing was the twist at the end where nobody wants to leave the ship even though it's failing. They're like, no, man, this is our country. We can't just leave. That's an interesting idea that if it had actually been explored instead of just introduced at the last minute and nothing done with it, then hey, great, maybe. And then episode 5, I liked at least a little better. It had some cool ideas there, but as if you could probably tell, I was really sort of bothered by the fact that they introduced this bike that is living in hell. He says, I'm in hell. Nobody cares. Nobody sympathizes with him. Everybody just leaves at the end. Kieran, you loved this show last week. Are you still feeling that strongly? How you doing?
I didn't realize that a 5th episode came out. So
That was the one you missed.
Okay,
I was worried that one of us was going to miss one, and that was it.
Because I did all my watching like a couple days ago, and I guess I must have missed up when this comes out, because I only saw up to episode 4, but I haven't seen episode 5, so I'll just speak on what I've seen.
All right.
I really dug the premise of the ship. The ship city's cool. A lot of Titanic referential shit there with the like AI girl being named Titana or whatever, and that she was there. I kind of dug the bait and like the switch that Shiro was going to be there with the dog. I liked them being at the forefront, but as you said, he's not very expressive, so it's hard to really get invested with what he's doing. That said, I don't know what it is. I'm still intrigued by the environments. That's all I look to this show for. It is something different. It does not follow a traditional structure. So obviously it cannot do really well for people that want something coherent, like a rising action and all that kind of shit, because you sometimes don't get that here. It's very kind of like a pastoral in a way, where you're just kind of taking in the scenery of this thing for 20 minutes and then, okay, I'm out. That's kind of what the show's always been, and I know that going in, so that's what I look for, and I get it, so I still like it. I'll have to see episode 5, see if that changes my opinion, but I still like it. If you want my verdict, or if you want to hear Scott's opinion.
Yeah, let's.
Yeah. I don't care about the show. I really do not care. I thought I was going to care at the very beginning, because I actually love the idea of these individual stories of different countries. I love the idea of that. But one of the problems that I'm finding, and maybe this would have been better if I'd read the light novels, is that they're just not spending enough time. Not enough time with the characters, not enough time engaging me and making me feel anything about these countries at all. The closest thing I got was in episode 4 with the little girl. I thought she was cool. I thought she was neat. The way that she'd follow around Valium. I'm going to call him that. Great name. But one of the things that really pissed me off, and that I realized, is that could have just been Kino and her bike, and Valium could have been the guy behind the scene. Like, when they both meet on the ship, I'm like, oh, that's a cool twist. Oh my God, it could have just been either of them.
Yeah, that's what I was saying last week. Kino and the Prince are interchangeable as characters.
Yeah, and
all that being said, guys, I levied a lot of criticisms at the show. I'm still gonna fuck it, because consistently, it's a very episodic show, so it's a mixed bag. Some episodes I like more than others, but every time, consistently, whether I enjoyed it or not, I think I can't wait to talk about this with Kieran and Scott on Monday. So, some shows you watch because you love them for themselves. Some shows you watch because they are great water cooler fodder, and this is a show like that. Kieran, what's your verdict?
It is, obviously I'm fucking it. This is my lock. This is what I'm kind of seeing. I'm not determined to see it through to the end, but I do really want to at least give it a bit more time. As you said, it is great water cooler fodder for us, and I think that the show's strengths really lie in the talk that happens after an episode. You are introduced to this concept. Now, what do you guys think about this? Like, it's kind of like, oh, here's this. What do you think about that? What if that country existed? Have some fun with it. I like it. It's neat. I'm fucking it.
Scott?
I think it's pretty obvious. I just don't care. And while I'll have a lot to talk about in the Unsnipped, it brings me no joy to discuss it.
All right. Well, we will find out how much or how little joy that brings all of us in the Unsnipped segment. But right now, let's see how much joy we got out of Recovery of an MMO Junkie. In episode 4, this is another with 2 episodes this week. Episode 4, there's a lot of fluffy nonsense about loot boxes. Lilac is into Mori Mori's character Blue-Haired Boy until she's into Kanbei. Cut to Love Interest Boy, who is still pining over / stalking Mori Mori. Mori Mori, by the way, the main character. Morioka is her actual first name. That's Mori Mori is a name that one of the in-universe characters gives her. Anyway, Love Interest Boy's work friend, who we shall call Mr. Hardsell, runs into Mori Mori at the convenience store and browbeats her into accepting a date with him, and then lords it over Love Interest Boy. In-game, Mori Mori tells Lily, who is played by Love Interest Boy, about this, leading to Love Interest Boy deducing Mori Mori's secret identity. But then as we go into episode 5, Love Interest Boy actually backs off from that conclusion a little bit. He's not quite sure anymore. Meanwhile, Mori Mori is stressing out over her date with Mr. Hardsell. Meanwhile, convenience store boy, who turns out to be guild leader Kanbei, something that Scott called last time. And yeah, as soon as I watched it with that in mind,
I
100%. Yeah. But yes, convenience store boy / guild leader Kanbei deduces Morimori's in-game identity. Morioka attempts to get advice from Lily on her upcoming date, while Kanbei trolls the hell out of them both, because at this point he knows both of their secret identities. Morioka dolls herself up, while lamenting that she's spending money that could have gone to loot boxes on clothes and hairstyling. When she shows up for her date, Mr. Hard Sell is nowhere to be found, but Love Interest Boy shows up instead. I think I started last time. Kieran, how you feeling about this stuff?
Kind of parroting what I felt about it last week was that it is really enjoyable if you can relate to this experience that just keeps coming up of knowing these people, meeting them, and going online, like talking to people about some real life advice. There's a distinct line where Kanbei talks to Hayashi, which is Morioka's online character, says, "Hey, don't go to Lily for life advice. You shouldn't do that." And then, just completely disregarding that, goes up and says, "Hey, I'm going out. If I'm a guy, what should I wear? Okay, hypothetically, if I'm a girl, what should I wear to a date?" And Kanbei knows this, so then just starts, what should they do for it? What would they do for a date? And then Lily's like, I don't know, a dress, I guess. And I really appreciated that, just having been in, having had friends and situations like that. It's really relatable to me. It is so fucking cute. This is a cute ass show, and the romance is still really sticking with me. I think the side characters are super bland still. I don't care about anybody that isn't Kanbei, actually. Like, everyone else is like, whatever. But it's still really, really fun. And the end of episode 5, when they, meet up in RL, like, we get that tiny little cliffhanger. I'm like, oh man, I really want to see where this goes.
Scott.
I feel like the supporting cast needs some time. I'm a little concerned, though, because if this is a 13-episode season, which it very well might be, I feel like we're not going to get a whole lot of opportunity for a lot of those side characters to get any development, which is sad because I love what they did with Kanbei, and I'm glad that I called it.
Yeah.
I also am a huge fan of Mr. Hard Sell. He is playing a game here, and I am all about it. This, because he's not doing it maliciously. He's not doing it to hurt anybody. He's trying to push people to break out. And while it might be a little bit like he's kind of a dick, he's not a bad guy, and everything that he's doing is just, I don't know. He's a fantastic character. It is such a cute show. And all the stuff about loot boxes is real here. But yeah, the one thing I will say about the show is that in Japanese so far, it's dropping a lot of game terminology, which in Japanese, I don't know, it doesn't feel as casual as I'd like it to be for a show that's really about MMOs. But I feel like that's a cultural difference here. I feel like if this were primarily in English, it might feel a little more subtle. Otherwise, it's just coming off a little stilted. But
Gotcha.
Otherwise.
So last week, I was struggling against my expectations for this show. This week, I felt like I knew what it was. Also last week, I accused Just Because of being discount Genshiken. This is the show that is actually scratching that same itch that Genshiken did for me. It's slice of life-ish, but everybody's just exaggerated enough that every character, with some exceptions, you're right, the supporting cast can be a little bland, but it's just exaggerated enough to be interesting. And this is kind of the other show that I am consistently liking more every episode. So that might have just tipped my hand. But for the sake of argument, Kieran, you gonna fuck or kill this show?
I'm fucking it. I wanna. She's hot.
You said that a lot of the characters seem a little more toned up than Just Because. No, I feel like all these characters are people that I know and emotions I felt, and I love it. It hits home very close, and I am so curious every week to see what's going to happen next.
Guys, we got another trifecta on the board. This show's great.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
It's probably been the best surprise for me so far this season, and that's a really good feeling. Marking down that trifecta on the board.
I know what itch it's scratching for me. I had Fruits Basket, then I had Oran, and now I feel like I have this. That's that feel good show that makes me laugh and makes me feel good. I love this show.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of feel-good shows, Infini-T Force is not one, but let's talk about it anyway. We had 3 episodes of this show last week because Scott hates us. In episode 4 of Infini-T Force, everyone goes to a Halloween party. Emmy is still depressed and hostile to everyone. So the villain girl who wants strong genes, I'm going to call her Condom Breaker. Condom Breaker flirts with the professor, the Taisen boy, the Tatsunoko boy with the glasses.
Joji.
Yeah. There's a fight. I don't know. I can't follow this at all. In episode 5, Final Fantasy Summon rings Emmy's doorbell and claims he wants to switch sides and kill Zed. In a flashback, he tells the boys how he was turned into a monster in order to defend his people, but then faced hatred and prejudice for his appearance. After dimension hopping everyone to a weird wasteland dimension, he betrays them, revealing that his wish is to create a utopia where everyone is equally monstrous. Robot Boy fights him while spouting vague anime philosophy bullshit, ultimately imprisoning him somehow because reasons. And then in episode 6, Pink Hair Man kidnaps Emmy and Gramps. Since the case can't transfer ownership until the wish of the current owner is granted, Pink Hair Man attempts to force Emmy to use her wish to save the boys. The other boys show up and are captured one by one. Gramps defeats Pink Hair Man without his powers, and we all learn a valuable lesson about believing in the heart of the cards that believes in you or some shit. As the episode ends, Emmy receives an email from Zed asking to talk. Scott, you voted to fuck this show last week. You saved it for another week. How you feeling about it? How you feeling about your decision?
How does a show with this many good ideas just drop every single one of them as soon as they're introduced? Like, and even though, like, even a bad idea can still be done well with the right people. What is this show? Who is this show for? Like,
That is the best question, honestly.
What this feels like, and this is is that this feels like one of those mid-90s anime where they're trying to be deep, they're trying to be philosophical, they're trying to be dark and edgy, and
I hate the show, you guys. I hate everything about it. It is boring. It is hard to follow. The one thing I liked was Final Fantasy Summon Guy. He has a cool design. He, like, the idea of him just showing up, literally ringing the doorbell and saying, hey, I want to be friends.
I laughed.
Yeah, that was a cool idea that they did nothing with. They squandered it. I hate the show. Kieran.
As the only, I think, Tatsunoko fan on the board here, I love Tekkaman. I love Cashern. I dig some Gatchaman stuff. So seeing that they had a Tekkaman and Cashern-centric episode fights, oh my God, they're so boring. They're so bad and dumb, and I can't handle all the times when they're not fighting. I just want everyone to die instantly. It sucks, man. This is when I look at that list of shows I have to watch, this is the one where I audibly groan.
Scott's reaching for his cards. I already know which one I'm reaching for. Should we hold up some cards?
Yeah.
Start us off, Scott.
Stop. I can't. I'm sorry. I tried. I
Kill
tried
it.
so hard.
I want it gone.
Try kill!
Get out.
I want it on the record. This is the most disappointing show of this season for me because everything about this show was something that I was looking forward to, and it just failed me.
It failed us all. It failed the American people, and I'm assuming also the Japanese people, but I won't try to speak for them. Guys, we've got 2 tri-kills on the board, which means only one show can die per week. It's going to go down to the Wheel of Justice.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man, I'm so glad.
Yeah! Yes! But before we go fetch that wheel, we got to decide whether anything else is going to be joining these 2. And the next one up on the list is something that I believe got a double kill last week. Guys, it's time for Black Clover.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so in episode 4 of Black Clover, main character Asta and his best friend Luego travel to the big city to take the Chunin exams. We are introduced to a bunch of discount One Piece villains, the captains of the Wizard Boy Knights. Asta fails the Quidditch test, but wins at dueling. And then in episode 5, Luego wins his duel with some random lightning dude and is offered his pick of squads to join. he chooses the Golden Dawn, led by Cosplay Griffith. Asta gets no offers, and his dream of being the Wizard King is crushed. Well, it was a short show, but I liked that it managed to effectively subvert expectations by showing that not all dreams... Just kidding. The captain of the Black Bulls makes a big deal of offering him a spot at the last minute. The show remembers one more shonen cliche that it hasn't gotten to yet and does a poop gag, and then Asta is teleported to the Black Bull headquarters, Fort Spooky. I think it's my turn to start us off. I don't know, I've lost track of everything.
Yeah, I think it is.
Guys, I was sort of surprised until I remembered that shonen shows tend to take a little while to get going. This show is quickly becoming what I originally expected it to be, which is totally cliche, unoriginal, not an original bone in its body, but sort of inoffensive shonen bullshit. I don't think Asta's voice has gotten any better, but maybe I'm just getting more used to it. Like, this is palatable. It's not good, but I can watch it. Sure, fine, whatever. Kieran?
I agree. I think this is when I heard this was going to be the second Naruto that everyone was like pushing for. This is going to be the next big thing, and that might just be marketing, and everyone else bought into it.
Yeah.
But I am actually starting to get that vibe, and I hear from a lot of people that after it kind of does all the the shonen tropes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, get there. Okay, now you're in your thing. It starts to subvert a lot of it and do its own thing. I really had fun with this. I was kind of shitting on it in the beginning. I thought it was ridiculous. But out of everything this season, I'm actually enjoying my time watching Black Clover.
Scott?
Yeah, I've got to just parrot both of you because, okay, so it's not good. I will not call this good. But God help me, by the end of the 5th episode, I was actually curious about where it's going to go. That and the fact that the Black Bulls just being this absolutely terrible group. I mean, it's kind of weird. Like, why are they there? Because I can see that there are definitely more favorable ones over the other, but the Black Bulls just seem to be like the worst of the worst. But I guess they just somehow slip by as still being eligible to be captains. But whatever, I'm actually having a good time with some of it, and when it's good, I'm like, huh, okay. But then Asta talks, and I'm reminded about how much I hate the whole world.
Guys, sometimes you have a third date, and it's like, I've been dating this person long enough. It's sort of obligatory. I'm going to go ahead and fuck this show. Kieran?
I will also fuck the show.
I'm going to kill it. I'm going with a kill. Because, quite frankly, it was better. But I have better things to do with my time.
I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah, I don't think any of us are saying it's great,
Yeah.
but it is, out of the things I have to watch, I enjoy it.
Yeah, unlike with Just Because, which I seemed a lot more angry about last time. That's because I started out really liking it, and then it faltered. This one, it was like, nope, I gave you your chance.
Well, speaking of chances, we have our last chance to talk about another show, because it's the last one on our list, Ancient Magus Bride. This week, we cover episode 4, in which Chisei and Elias travel to the city of cats to cleanse a Princess Mononoke monster that used to be a serial cat killer, named Matthew. Chisei meets the ghost of Matthew's wife, Mina, who asks Chisei to kill them both. Chisei is then ambushed by a pair of sorcerers who hint that Chisei's powers may be dangerous to her. And then that cliffhanger picks right up in episode 5, in which one of the sorcerers, Renfred, accuses Elias of lying to Chisei by not telling her that her body is too fragile to handle her magical power. Chisei escapes Renfred, saying that Elias is the first person to call her family. Elias appears and holds the sorcerers off while Chisei, the Cat King, and Ariel, one of the fairies from, I think, the 2nd episode, enter the corruption. Chisei sees a flashback of Matthew learning from a passing sorcerer to make a potion from murdered cats to heal his sick wife Mina, but the potion fails and turns Mina to goop. The first Cat King kills Matthew. In the present, Ghost Mina asks Chisei to erase them both because they've forgotten, both herself and Matthew, because they've forgotten how to return to the cycle of life and death. The current Cat King, on her 9th life, offers to guide Mina and Matthew's souls to the afterlife. So last time, I remember that Scott and I were feeling pretty hopeful about the relationship between Shisei and Elias, exploring those dynamics going forward. And this pair of episodes delivered on one of my hopes, which is that so Shisei has sort of had the chance to leave Elias, but when she said, the fairies offered to let her come join them in Fairyland, and she says, no, even if Elias discards me tomorrow, he's still yada yada. That's like the worst. In this one, we see her actually drawing strength from her relationship to Elias. When she goes in to clean the corruption, she asks Elias, hey, why aren't you doing this? And he says, no, I suck at this kind of magic. You're going to do a better job than I do. And she thinks to herself, she's super nervous. She hasn't done a whole lot of magic before, but she thinks like, hey, he believes in me. He thinks I can do it. So I think I can do it too. And that's really what I was hoping to see, is her discover her own self-worth instead of constantly shitting on herself. So I'm feeling pretty good about something we talked about last week. Kieran, how are you feeling about this show?
I've had after watching it with my girlfriend, and we just bawled like little bitches at episode 3. Like, again, that moment is so good.
Yep.
I didn't have as much of an emotional resonant moment, but like the flashback with Matthew and his wife Mina, I think it
Mina,
was.
yeah.
That was really, really something. That was really good. I love just because they kind of played around with, we don't want to see sorcerers. And we see like these, villainous sorcerers show up with the monster, supposedly villainous, whatever.
Yep.
And they allude that, Elias isn't telling you the full truth. He's kind of manipulating you. But all that aside, getting more hints at a bigger story, I loved seeing him actually show her the ropes and take her through, like, here's how you do this. Like, him teaching her, like, the actual apprenticeship has kind of started now. And I really, really enjoyed that. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about the romance going forward, but I'm kind of agreeing with you guys now that I think a lot of it has kind of come around to addressing a lot of the concerns I had. As you said, she's definitely enjoying, or at least knows that she can do this and is feeling something from it. So I love this animation. These backgrounds are so good. The cats are so cute, and I really like this show now.
Scott.
Yeah, the cats. I love the cats in these episodes. Yeah, no, these are perfectly done anime cats. I am so surprised that everything was so on model, that the talking seemed a little unnerving but also adorable. But does anyone else notice how horrific the show can be?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's that scene where she's not only is he chopping up cats, then Mina, this pure snowflake, is held in place and forced to drink this mutilated cat goo, but then just collapses in front of her lover, which then drives him completely insane.
Yep.
It's terrifying. It is a really, really hard scene to watch. And just that moment where Shisei realizes what's about to happen. She's she's got this sick feeling, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so well done. Yeah. I am all about this stuff. These horrific reveals with huge emotional resonance, and not to mention, I'm just gonna agree with you guys about Shisei's development and her relationship with Elias. Yep. Like, this is what I want to see more of.
Yep. And these are a real dense couple of episodes. There's going to be a lot to unpack in the snipped segment, the unsnipped segment.
Oh yeah.
But in the meantime, I mean, we can pretty much just hold it up, right? Yep. Guys, I'm fucking the show. We got the trifecta.
3 of them.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I like trifecta.
Yeah. Right. That's like 9 fuctas right there.
Yeah, the holy trinity.
Okay, so housekeeping stuff. We got to figure out which of our tri-kills we're going to cut. Let me just remind myself what we had. It was
be both.
Infini-T Force and King's Game, I believe. Yeah. Yes.
Still so sad that Infini-T Force is one of the shows.
I'm upset that both of them are terrible.
All right, so we're gonna take a quick cut while I go fetch the Wheel of Justice, and we're back here with our Wheel of Justice. Either Infini-T Force or King's Game is getting killed. The other one survives another week, perhaps to have our opinions changed. Who knows? I mean, there've been a lot of flip-flopping votes this week in our second week, so you never know.
Happy to see it, by the way.
Yeah. So, guys, Scott, you want to do the honors? Give us a spin and see what dies.
I feel like I'm partially responsible for both of these, so it's only poetic that I do this.
Infinity Force, Infinity Force.
Infinity Force dies!
You know, if I had to choose one or two.
If I had to choose, that's absolutely what I'd pick.
Oh, man.
Yeah, if I had to give one the edge. So unfortunately, it does mean we're watching one more episode of King's Game, but you never know. Votes could change, and it might get resurrected. Guys, thank you so much for watching Anime FMK. Click the thing-a-ding and watch the unsnipped, because we got so much more to talk about. Thank you so much. No more Infinity Force!
Yes!
Thank God.